Lisa.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Great. You are chairman at the International Energy Agency's intergovernmental organization, Ocean Energy Systems, that does an annual report on ocean energy. So where do we stand worldwide when it comes to ocean energy?
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. Thanks for this explanation what my title is. It's indeed a long way. But somebody signaled already earlier, hey, did you change positions? No, I didn't, but I'm chair of this international platform where we are working together with Australia, United States, Korea, India, many countries in Europe to bring ocean energy technologies forward to the market. And we all have this common aim, and I think it's very important to work together on that. I'm chair, still working in the European Commission, policy officer for ocean energy development, for research and innovation. To add, where we are, tough question. I think what is ocean energy first? I think we have seen already, you have wave energy, tidal, salinity gradient, ocean thermal. Lately you can see as well float EV is that ocean energy, but there are much linkages. In fact, these are emerging technologies. And I can give a lecture on where we are in all these different technologies. But yeah, one is a bit more advanced than the other. Personally, I think tidal, we're really more advanced. You see projects, quite a number already in the water. And the technologies are improving. They're looking to efficiency rates and to really get the most out of the system. It's also that there are changes. We first had tidal turbines on the bottom of the sea. Now we have even floating devices to get even more. But what's more important in this sector, I think, they have already some turbines working for a longer period of time. Just to tell you something, regularly in contact with a British company, Nova Innovation, and then he's saying, yes, we have again some turbines in the water. And then I'm asking, and how is your first turbine? And it's still running. And I think that's a good achievement already for 6 years. In the wave energy sector, it's not yet that so far. We see really improvements in the designs, but it's still relatively small. The prototypes, they're testing it in the water. That are upscaling. I was just at the presentation from Core Power here at the exhibition, and they really showed where they came from design C1, and they're going now to C4, testing it in the water, and C5 will be the ultimate device. But you really see progress, and really getting from a very first prototype to a very professional machine with all the elements in it. I was a few weeks ago in contact with a company developing salinity gradients, and we know there is a test device at the Afsluitdijk in the Netherlands. They had a lot of issues, but apparently they have solved the issues now there as well, and they really see a future for salinity gradient, the difference between the salinity gradient in the water, and they might be able to scale it up. So it's still also early stage. Ocean thermal, a technique which is there already for quite a number of years, but I see a revived enthusiasm to use it. And I think that's something very important to see. What we see in the technologies all over, first, we have much more knowledge of the sea compared to 20, 30 years ago. So we know what waves are, what the tides are. We have as well digitalization. We are able to use the data which we are getting from all the tests in a very clever way, but also in the design of the machine and the optimization. I think that's very helpful. And I think we have also much more knowledge on the materials. Also coming from other sectors, from the oil and gas, from the offshore wind, etc. But we know as well, hey, this we can use and this we cannot. And I think that's something very important achievement in this sector as such. Let me keep it like that.
So there's some progress, as you said. There is some progress, but we're not there yet.
There's absolutely progress. We really see things happening in the water, and that they're going now in the next stage. But it's a long way. We have seen some talks this morning as well on offshore wind, bottom fixed and floating. Floating started as well with the first prototype in 2007. And now it's slowly getting to market deployment as such. And ocean energy is getting there as well, to ramp up. Yeah, put shortly my commission hat. We really try now to push as well the ocean energy developers to think in how do machines operate in an array, to scale it up and to let them run for a longer period of time. So yes, we are progressing.
But I'm getting kind of a mixed message here. You're saying there's progress, and yet we've been waiting for this for so long. We're still waiting. Ocean energy has not taken off yet. Why should we still care? Why should investors still put money into this?
Look, I think it's important to invest in it. And why? Because we need all the energy which we at the moment have. Look, from where do we go? I think it's because we have a challenge of the global heating. We have to change our energy systems. And we do. Getting away from oil and gas, investing in PV and wind, but that's not sufficient. We need as well the energy in the tides, in the waves, from the salinity gradient. And when we are in 2050, when we would like to have a 100% energy transition, we will need as well energy resources from the waves and the tides in the ocean. And we have to invest now in that. We have to do it in a very clever way. I think as well, when you look to that, I'm confident that we are able to do that. So that's, yeah, I think that's one of the major challenges. I think it's also challenging you. When we are on holidays or at the seaside or wherever, we are getting inspired, and we should not stop thinking about how can we grasp it. But it's all to do about this ultimate goal which we have on a global level, and that's why you're working on an international platform like the IEA-OES, Ocean Energy Systems, to make it happen. Please.
Yeah, we've been hearing about, this morning also, about hurdles to the different markets. What will you say are for you the main things to overcome, the main hurdles to overcome to make this finally happen?
The main hurdles, I think we still have to improve a lot of things and how we are doing this, how we are doing. That's part of it. We know much better how we have to do the research and technology development. And that's also what we are doing in our platform. We have developed a kind of a matrix to assess the different technologies. And I think that's also on a global level important. A second one is, I think we have to let the technologies or the devices work in the water. Not to get them out after a testing period of 2-3 months. Look, the technology is working. No, if you would like to have wave, tidal, salinity gradient, we would like to see all these technologies working for a long period of time. My late father was saying, a relation at least a summer and a winter. In energy technology, I think it's even 10 years to convince investors to step into that. So we have to demonstrate that tidal and wave is working for that period. That's why, what you were saying about this Nova innovation, how is it with your first turbine? Yes, it's still working for 6 years. That's good. I would like to see another 4 years. And as Commission, I put shortly my other hat, we are calling out for projects to demonstrate wave and tidal arrays for 10 years. Why are we doing that? It's also to learn much more on the operation and maintenance. You don't learn sufficiently in the operation in the first 2-3 months of a device. It's only when it starts to get maintenance, needs maintenance, when fouling is coming in maybe, or hurricanes, storms, or whatever, over a full period of time. The endurance, that's what we have to learn, and that's still a challenge, I think, for us to get there. But I'm very convinced if we have the first devices really for working for 10, even longer, then investors will step in and then we can ramp up. And then we can learn from offshore wind because they know how to make the arrays, all the supply, the equipment as well, to do it much faster maybe than wind was doing. But we have to get there.
Hello. Thank you very much, Matthijs, Soede. That's fascinating indeed. Let's now have a look at the US ocean energy market. Just a few days ago, I had the opportunity to talk to Jennifer Garson, who's director of the Water Power Technologies Office at the US Department of Energy. And I started by asking her what the US government is doing to boost wave and tidal energy.
In the United States, we've made substantial investments over the last decade into marine energy. That has included wave, tidal, river currents, and even looking at different gradients. A couple of years ago, we funded a $25 million solicitation focused on wave energy. Those are going to be the first devices installed at our PacWave facility, which will be our first grid-connected wave energy test site. So that includes a range of different types of systems, some for microgrids, some for ocean observing, while others are really trying to test out foundational research like environmental monitoring. And then recently we announced $45 million in tidal and river current technologies. That includes $35 million for our first commercial site to test and validate tidal or river current technologies here in the United States, and $10 million actually for community level tidal and river current systems. So we are really looking at a range of different technologies, all the way from grid connected, grid serving, wave and tidal energy to technologies and systems that will provide local, meaningful power in places, particularly in remote and isolated areas. So all of these are really moving towards progress on in-water demonstrations, which is a really critical activity for us here in the United States. While we don't have specific, let's say, gigawatt goals, our intention and our main goal for marine energy is really getting systems in the water to test and validate that these systems work, because that's really the most critical step for marine energy, that in-field demonstration, and that, cumulative $80 million is going towards devices that will be in the water producing electricity, whether that's for remote communities or connected to the grid off the coast of Oregon.
When do you think the first commercial project could be up and running in any of these sectors?
So, based on the maturity of the sector right now, I think that we'll most likely see commercial sites for tidal or current energy technologies. I'm hoping that by 2027, we have a first commercial site here in the United States for tidal. For wave, I think it depends on whether we're talking about grid scale commercial development or more distributed deployed systems. And I think we'll actually see systems producing electricity either for water or for ocean observing, probably in that same time frame. Most likely for grid connected wave, I would hope by 2030 we would actually have a commercial site development for wave energy systems.
You just said that there are no clear megawatt or gigawatt goals in the US for these types of energies, but is there like a goal in terms of percentage of electricity? What are you hoping for?
So while, we don't have a certain percentage of a goal for electricity, we really have a goal of maturing this market. And so that was even evidenced by our latest Ocean Climate Action Plan released by the White House here in the United States that put marine energy up front and center as a critical technology. We really think about marine energy serving that last 10% of the hard to decarbonize electricity sector. That's going to be really important because right now, while we anticipate a lot of wind and solar coming online, really figuring out those, grid serving, firm, flexible power resources like marine energy has the potential to serve. That's where we really view that important wedge for marine energy. So it's not a certain percentage or a certain gigawatt, but more that we're laser focused in the next 10, 20 years at driving down the cost of these systems, really proving out that they can work on the grid and in the water, and developing the knowledge and understanding that these systems can also be compatible with the environment in addition to having their unique energy attributes.
Has the US government's view on ocean energy changed somehow since Russia started to invade Ukraine last year in February?
I think while it hasn't changed necessarily our thinking about certain technologies, but I think it really kind of heightened the kind of global understanding and awareness that we really need to make progress on every form of technology that can help us decarbonize and free ourselves from fossil fuels. I think that through the different investments that have been made by the federal government, like the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Act, there's a full mobilization of all resources to get us to a decarbonized grid here, but also develop the technologies necessary to decarbonize everywhere and really change the way that our global dynamics work from an energy perspective. So I know that there has been some conversation with US particularly river current energy technologies, even reaching out to Ukraine to really help think through what are some of the ways that, both in Ukraine and in Europe and globally, that we can develop the types of systems necessary to provide power that's locally generated, clean electricity, addresses both national security concerns as well as the kind of global environmental and challenge that we have in front of us at thinking about how we're going to mitigate the effects of climate change, but also change our energy dynamics to make every country more resilient and independent from an energy perspective.
You just mentioned the Inflation Reduction Act. There's also the Jones Act. Such legislation is obviously has been stoking fears here in Europe and in other parts of the world that a US development of offshore wind, but also ocean energy might first and foremost benefit US companies. Are these fears are they right to fear that?
I don't think that needs to be a fear necessarily. Even if we look at the Inflation Reduction Act, yes, the incentive, obviously, it's paid for by the American taxpayers, so we need technology to be deployed here. But we think that there's enormous opportunities for us to learn how technologies work out in the field by reducing the costs, here to then deploy elsewhere. But I know even for us at the Department of Energy, we're encouraging international companies to come here and test out their technologies and their systems. There are obviously reasons why the U.S. wants to, develop technologies, solutions, and innovations here, but we recognize that energy is a global challenge. So even what we might test or validate here, we know has potential application and broad applicability elsewhere. So I think that, yes, there are certain stipulations with U.S. funding that it needs to go to U.S.-based companies or U.S. subsidiaries. Ultimately, we know that the lessons that we're going to learn here can apply elsewhere. So I don't think there has to be fear or apprehension of the, U.S. getting too far ahead. If anything, I think it's great that the U.S. is, really stepping up to commit the necessary resources to test, all sorts of technologies, ocean energy, offshore wind, hydrogen, kind of you name it. We're putting it, all the cards on the table to really move towards mobilizing towards a decarbonized economy. And ultimately, I think that benefits everywhere.
Thank you very much. That was Jennifer Garson, Director of the Water Power Technologies Office at the US Department of Energy. And we can now quickly look back to what you said earlier with another beautiful drawing by Fanny. So she summed up what you said. There is more knowledge. Let's scale it up. We need to boost wave and tidal, and we need investments. And as you said, it will still take some time, but there is hope.
Yeah, I wanted to react shortly on that as well, because you mentioned the Ukrainian war, and I think we had one learning as well. It's not only about costs, it's about security of supply. And I think there, wave tidal can play a role. So we are willing to pay more. We do it every day at home, unfortunately. We like to have it on the cheapest price. But we want, for all means, electricity in our houses. For that reason, we need alternative technologies as well. With the IEA-OES, we are coming together as countries. We try to learn from each other. She was mentioning the Inflation Reduction Act, trying to bring companies to commercial scale in the United States. In Europe, we try to do the same. We react as well. We have been publishing lately the Net Zero Industry Act, where we're really trying to reduce permitting times. We propose that, use sandboxes, much more easy with the permitting on a couple of things, but also to increase our investments in new technologies. But we have a market here as well. The waves and the tides are here at the Atlantic coast, so we have to make use of that. And we welcome European companies, of course, to make use of it and to deploy the technologies over there. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Matthijs, Soede. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you.